Since 2015, Jared Stillman has rocked Nashville sports.
That team freaking stinks.
And now he's back. The takes are hotter than ever.
I mean, let's be honest, he just can't coach.
Welcome to Stillman and Company.
Stillman and Company on the 440 Sports Network, presented by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. So, what do you guys want to talk about today? Okay. So, we have, again, the story of the year. VrabelGate. Vrabel and Dianna sitting in a tree. Fucking. That continues. And this time, we now have the combination of my two favorite things. The VrabelGate scandal and the lake. That's right. My two favorite things all came together thanks to TMZ. We will hit that story, what the fallout might be. Is this a big story or not? We will continue that. Geoff Schwartz, he texted me, former NFL offensive lineman, Fox Sports, Sirius XM. He texted me yesterday, said, I'm coming on. After the TMZ story, I said, come on, Jeffrey. So Geoff Schwartz will join us in about 15 minutes or so. First, though, I do want to tell you about our presenting sponsor. That's Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. I love Hiller. They take great care of my home, and they can do the exact same for you. Hiller, man, are they awesome. Again, if you've got an issue with your HVAC, if you've got an issue with your electrical, go like I do. HappyHiller.com. Plumbing issue, drains backed up. HappyHiller.com. You can book it right there. They are fantastic. They are fabulous. Again, they take great care of my home. They have been taking care of my home since 2018. True transparency pricing. They line out of everything. That's Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. Proud supporters, the Preds of Falls of 80. Hiller, call the Happy Face Truck today. Boy, I got to tell you, where to go from here. The Love Boat. TMZ yesterday. It was almost as soon as we ended the stream that TMZ dropped the Vrabel Russini boat story. I don't feel like I have to catch too many of you up on the details of what's in the story, but Vrabel and Russini in 2021, when she was 7 months pregnant, went to Cookville and they rented a pontoon and they went on a pontoon for 2 or 3 hours, and TMZ has a staff photo, a video of them at the dock, and their signatures on the waivers. By the way, congratulations to TMZ. Oh, we need to have this discussion too. Congratulations to TMZ. They finally got something in this story that is newsworthy and worth talking about. Took you fucking long enough, TMZ. But again, when that news story hit, I looked at Lindsay and I said, do I need to go live with an emergency, immediate reaction to the Love Boat saga? And she said yes. She was like, you need to go live. And I was like, oh, do I? And I didn't really necessarily have a take at that time. I mean, yeah, it was a bad look. And look, I love the boat. I do. I love going on the lake. I've probably been on the lake. I'm a member of the boat club. I've probably been on the lake over the last 6 years, 5 years since I've had a boat club membership, 100 times. I love it. But I don't go on the lake with women who aren't my girlfriend one-on-one. You can't do that. And I guess when the story hit, my first initial reaction was, okay, we knew that they were having an affair. We knew they were doing it. We knew that they were doing it all the way going back to 2020. I've had my suspicion since 2022. I want to get to the bottom of CJ Stroud in 2023. I'm apparently the only person on the planet that thinks that is the biggest football story possible. And yet, this boat story has rocked everybody's socks. And last night, Caroline texted me, and she said, this is the worst story of the whole bushel. And I said, why? And she goes, she was 7 months pregnant. And I'm like, you know what? That is fucked up. First of all, the whole thing's fucked up. But that is fucked up. Dianna Russini, 7 months pregnant at the time with Kevin Goldschmidt's child, allegedly his child. That's really messed up. And it's really messed up that her child is named Michael. And I don't want to touch the child angle with a 10-foot pole because, again, we're talking about a 5-year-old or a 6-year-old. This kid is going to hear about this story for the rest of his life. But at the same time, she was 7 months pregnant on the boat with Mike Vrabel. The one thing I can't get out of my head, when Lindsay was 7 months pregnant with Jack, we went to Toronto. We had a baby shower here in Nashville, and then we went to Toronto for all of our friends in Toronto, and we had a baby shower there. And the night of that baby shower, we ended up at the hospital in Toronto because I guess Jack was like laying on one of her ribs or something like that. I don't know. It was very painful. So we ended up in the hospital in Toronto. We started talking about making plans to drive from Toronto to Buffalo if she was going to go into early labor so that Jack would be born in the U.S. That was when she was 7 months pregnant. And I want you to think about this. You're all the way out in Cookville. And you're on the boat. By the way, pregnant women are not supposed to go on boats. And you're on the boat. She could have gone into labor right there. She could have popped right then and there. How would that have looked for Vrabel and Russini if she had the child? She goes into labor on the lake in Cookville, Tennessee. And what, she's just going to show up to the hospital by herself? So this whole thing is just, I can't stress this enough, fucked up. But then I go back to Vrabel on this. You went on the lake with her? Again, you guys are having an affair. We know that. And we know that the affair both predated the marriage and the child. You're having an affair with this woman. She has somebody else's child in her belly. And you're going on the boat with her? And if you're not having sex on the boat, which I think people do have sex on boats, if you're not having sex on the boat, chances are there is sex around the boat outing, right? There is sex before the boat. There's sex after the boat. At some point, I think there was probably some sex. And Cookville is not close to here, which, again, that's what they were trying to do. They were trying to not be seen, which is why Vrabel took a picture with the doc staff, but Dianna didn't want to get involved, and Vrabel asked him not to post it because they knew what they were doing was nefarious on a whole bunch of levels. So Dianna is 7 months pregnant. And Mike Vrabel, dude, you're on the lake with a woman who's married to another guy. That's bad enough. But she's got a child 7 months inside of her? How do you sleep with a woman who's got another man's child in her? What the fuck? And this right here is why Dianna, I know the Daily Mail said she's talked to Good Morning America. She's talked to 60 Minutes. She wants to get her story out there. This is why Dianna Russini can't talk about this. She cannot talk about this because at this point, you're on the boat 7 months pregnant with Mike Vrabel. They've got a video of it. They've got pictures of it. Your son's named Michael. Leslie Stahl is going to ask you those questions. Leslie Stahl has grilled presidents, multiple presidents. You think she's worried about Dianna Russini? At this point, the story is so public and the details are so suspicious? I don't know the right way to say this, that if you do an interview with 60 Minutes or you do an interview with Good Morning America or you do an interview with anybody that you haven't fed the questions to ahead of time, they're going to ask you, is that Mike Vrabel's son? They're going to ask you, did you name him Michael after Mike Vrabel? They're going to ask, did you have sex with Mike Vrabel while you had Kevin Goldschmidt's child in your belly? So there's no way she can do a sit-down interview. I don't think Good Morning America, even though ESPN and the NFL are now in bed and they own each other, there's no way they could have her on and not ask these kind of questions. And then there's the football angle to all of this. Let me say, from a non-football standpoint, this story is so totally fucked up. And everybody knows that. But from a football standpoint, I'm not sure this really changes anything. They were on the boat together when she had a 7-month-old child inside of her that happened to allegedly be somebody else's, a.k.a. her husband's. Well, does that matter when the Patriots play Miami? I don't think so. I keep saying, Vrabel hasn't done anything to cost himself his job. He didn't break a law. He didn't break an NFL rule. He didn't break, I don't think, a New England Patriots rule. He can still go out there and coach the team. Now, he can't preach about how important family is as much as he used to, but he can still go coach the team. So how is this video the straw that breaks the camel's back? And yet, the prediction markets, Kalshi, is saying now that it's about a 33 to 40% chance that Mike Vrabel's not going to coach the Patriots next season. I don't know how this changes anything from a football standpoint, but as soon as this story came out, it has gone to, oh my God, Vrabel's going to get fired. Everybody's talking about it like that. I still don't understand how this boat story changes anything from the football standpoint. If you knew Mike Vrabel was having an affair, which of course the New England Patriots before yesterday knew that Mike Vrabel was having an affair with Dianna Russini. If you stood by Vrabel after the New York Post photos came out that showed that it was at least a 6-year relationship, which the Patriots did, this doesn't change anything. Even if that is Mike Vrabel's kid, I'm not sure that changes anything from a football standpoint. And yet the talk has absolutely intensified around the status of Mike Vrabel's child. Or not Mike Vrabel's child. But man, this story is so fucked up. I want to get to some reaction before Geoff Schwartz joins us. Geoff again texted me yesterday, and Geoff was like, I got to get on. And I said, get your ass on the show. And I think it'll be good to balance me out, to see if maybe I'm out there a little bit or maybe I'm not. So we'll do that when Geoff joins us here in just a little bit. The other piece of news that I do think is newsworthy and worth discussing, also from TMZ. Again, congratulations to TMZ. It took you forever to get your asses in the game. And now you're in the game. According to TMZ, Dianna Russini's son, named after brother, not Mike Vrabel. So apparently TMZ is saying, no, she didn't name Kevin Goldschmidt's child after the man she was having an affair with, the man that she clearly was in love with. She named him after her brother. According to TMZ, quote, the internet is running wild with Mike Vrabel and Dianna Russini theories, but one can be put to rest. The NFL reporter did not name her first son after the coach, TMZ Sports has learned. The chatter intensified after we posted a story about the two enjoying a private trip on the water in June 2021, weeks before she welcomed her child with her husband, Kevin Goldschmidt. So, Did Russini really get name inspiration from the player turned coach? Sources familiar with the situation say the kid was named after a specific Michael, just not Vrabel. We're told the ex-Athletic Insider picked the name early in her pregnancy to honor her oldest brother, Michael Russini. The kid's middle name also pays tribute to another family member. One source noted Russini named both of her kids after family members. Her second son shares the same name as her grandfather. Okay. That might be true. I'm not saying it's not true. I'm just saying it may be true that she named the kid after her brother and not after the man she was fucking. But when she decided to name her kid after her brother, who happens to have the same name of the man she was fucking, she knew that she was naming her kid after the man she was fucking. When she put that tweet out there about looking at my 4-day-old son, Michael, and wondering how many former players and coaches there are named Michael, you think she sent that tweet thinking about Mike Singletary? Or that she sent that picture thinking about Mike McDonald? Or Mike McDaniel? Or Mike Holmgren? Or Mike Shanahan? No. She sent it thinking about Mike Vrabel, the guy she was allegedly fucking. That is so messed up. Like, I can't even begin to talk about how messed up that was. It's unbelievable. And I mean, I hate talking about the child. Because again, this is a kid. And this isn't like a 20-year-old kid. This is like a 6-year-old kid. He didn't do anything wrong. But that's diabolical on Diana's part. I don't even know how we came across the name Jackson for our son. I've always, I guess, liked the name Jack. And I want to name my kid Jack. I think Jackson's more official. So he's Jackson Reese Stillman. I always wanted to name my kid, you know, with the middle name after Floyd. That's a very Jewish thing to do. Just somebody who's passed away. But I could never name my kid after somebody that I was doing it with. That is so messed up. And who knows as far as the brother is concerned, the name and everything else. So that's the first stuff. One person says, brother, you called this whole thing LMAO wild. Yeah, I mean, at this point now, I have to go back why I thought they were doing it. Again, I have the cut where there was a moment where the light bulb went on in my head and I was like, oh my God, they are doing it. And it was the moment that she got into it with Bart Scott on TV and she defended Vrabel when talking about the Titans and she was trashing the roster, which made me think that her source wasn't John Robinson. And it made me feel pretty certain that her source was Mike Vrabel. And for some reason, I don't know if I just looked at it and was like, oh, guy and a girl, they must be fucking. I don't think I did that. I can't even remember. That's what Joe Rexroth thinks I did. I don't know. But I was right. The CJ Stroud thing was when I was like, okay, enough of this. And if I owned the Titans, I would have fired him after doing an investigation about the CJ Stroud stuff. The other thing people are talking about, Javi says in the chat, Julio Jones trade was June 6th. Was the boat ride before or after? She was speaking about Jones and his trade value around the timeline. This is a football story. So a lot of people are talking about how, no, this is a football story because she put out there that the Falcons had an offer for a first-round pick on Julio, and the Titans ended up dealing Julio for a second-round pick. I don't think that really matters as much as you people think it does. I think hey, we have a first round pick. I think that was to try to get somebody to offer a first round pick. I don't think that was to keep teams from calling Atlanta on Julio Jones. One person says, what has to happen when this hits the fan for the Titans organization? Vrabel and Russini doing this in team facilities, knowing, cover-up, etc. So I've said, I want to know what Rand Carthon actually thinks, Chad Brinker actually thinks, the people that were there in 2023 for the CJ Stroud draft. But until then, I think the Titans are just going to try to stay out of it. And if I own the Titans, that's probably what I do, but I don't want the Titans to stay out of it. One person who is not staying out of it, Geoff Schwartz, joins us now on the program.
Hello, sir.
Geoff Schwartz, former NFL offensive lineman. You can hear him on Sirius XM, Fox Sports, as well as like 8 different podcasts during the football season. Geoff, the boat trip is out. We got video, we got pictures, we got details, we got all kinds of stuff. Your reaction to the Mike Vrabel, Dianna Russini boat trip?
It just seems like until he's no longer the Patriots coach, we're going to get these every 2 weeks, right? We're going to get just a story, another story, another story. It's odd. Okay, here's my thought. You have a significant other. You have a young child now. I have a wife and 2 children. If my wife was like on she's 7 months pregnant, like how is she getting to the lake without, like what's she telling me to get to the lake to hang out with Mike Vrabel? Like what's your significant other telling you? She's like, hey, I'm going to go hang out with some girlfriends. I would believe my wife. I absolutely would. I trust her. And then just, how are you getting out to the lake to be with Mike Vrabel is like a question I have, right? Because obviously that's odd if you're like, hey, I'm going to go hang out with Mike Vrabel to your husband, right? So just so many questions here, but it does seem like stuff will come out every 2 weeks until Vrabel's not a coach anymore. And I think you've said this before. It does feel like it's her husband who has all this information, right? It doesn't.
That's
benefit
what somebody told me.
It doesn't benefit Mike Vrabel's wife at all to leak this stuff out. I also wonder if people have just took videos of them before and didn't really realize like, why? Look, it's Mike Vrabel. Let me take a video with him. And now they're like, oh, wait, there's a scandal. Let me cash in on sending my video in to TMZ. I mean, look, my wife is chronically late to every story. She's not an online person. So she'll get to stuff like a month late. Hey, do you hear this story out a month ago? So I could see people like not paying attention to the news. It comes up and they go, oh, wait, I have a video of Mike Vrabel on my phone from when I just took a video of him at the lake. I didn't know who he was with. And they're just pulling up these old videos. So I think a lot of these things could be a combination of why the story won't die. But it does seem like it might end, it might end with Vrabel not being the coach anymore, not because he gets fired, because he just steps away.
Okay, so I wanted to go into that because while this story yesterday, I think, poured gasoline on what is, I think, the scandal of the year right now in the NFL. And this is something that I know, ESPN doesn't want to talk about, but I'm telling you, people are talking about it every day. I still don't know if this affects him from a football standpoint, because the way I look at it, he didn't break the law. He didn't break any NFL rules. He didn't break, I don't think, any Patriot rules. I'm not even sure the Patriots have rules. He didn't break any Patriot rules. He didn't, and he's the best coach they can get. I mean, the option, if Vrabel's not the coach, is Josh McDaniels as their head coach, and we know Josh McDaniels stinks. So I am convinced that Mike Vrabel's going to be the coach of the Patriots. And yesterday didn't change anything about what we knew or didn't know. And yet, after yesterday's news dump, Geoff, it seems like a lot of people were like, I don't think Vrabel's going to be the coach. And the prediction market started going that way. Do you think Vrabel will be the coach? And why do you think yesterday's news affected people's opinions of who's going to be coaching the Patriots week 1?
Well, I'll start with this. The Patriots are not firing him. So it's not from the Patriots' perspective, in my opinion. You're right. He didn't break any rules unless they find out that he was giving her team secrets and trade secrets, which coaches do all the time, right? That's how the sausage gets made. I think he did nothing, if it affected his time as a coach, I guess, but how do you argue that? He won the Super Bowl. He won a Super Bowl last season, right? Like, how do you argue that it affected his time as a coach in New England? I could see him stepping aside for personal reasons if this continues to come out. I think we think like, okay, this is the last bit of news. And then we get something every week. And every time we get something new, it's like this, there's more. And that's what it's come down to. We just think there's more out there. And if they put a story out there every week till July to August, at some point it feels like the pressure is going to be a lot on Vrabel to step aside. I would imagine he feels like being in the facility is probably a safe space for him, because I promise you no one's talking about it in the facility, right? So he's probably going to feel pretty comfortable there, and I don't think he's going to want to step away. But this continues to come out and out and out, and I don't even know what would be worse, I guess. I mean, I think we all assume they've been sleeping together for a while, right? Like, I don't know what can be worse that would come out. All the baby name stuff just feels like gossip to joke about. It doesn't feel like that's a real thing. Plus, who cares? Again, like, she names her baby Mike Vrabel, that after Mike, like that's not our business, right? I mean,
yes, it is. Yeah. Oh yeah. And it's fucked up.
It is our business now because we know about the relationship, but in the end, they have to figure that out themselves as families. But I saw a report today that it's actually named after her brother. But that's not my point. That's not going to change his job status. I'm trying to think like what would change his job status. Sleeping with someone else and having a kid with them. That's not the first time a coach has done that, I would imagine. Not the first time a player has done that. It doesn't affect their job. And I do push back on the people that say, why has Vrabel not been punished in Russini? Because they have different jobs, guys. Like, that's why, they have different jobs. Mike Vrabel's job, shield him is the wrong word, but like off the field things don't really matter if he's doing his job and he's not committing a crime. My daughter's home, I think. If that's last super loud. If he is doing his job and not committing a crime, it's not the same thing. Dianna Russini is supposed to be an NFL insider, and if you're sleeping with sources, you just ethically can't do that, right? Like, those are two different things. And so I've never understood why people have not really grasped that concept. And Vrabel might end up paying the price but not being the coach. We don't know what the end story is going to be for him.
Okay, then I do want to go to the son's name, which, again, TMZ says that Dianna Russini's son was named after her brother, not after Mike Vrabel.
Yes.
So people keep asking me why this is such a big story. And I think part of the reason that it's such a big story is because it's so fucked up. And that element of it, the fact that Dianna was sleeping with a guy named Mike and then had a kid and named the kid Mike, allegedly had the kid with somebody else. That's really, really fucked up. I don't have affairs, so I wouldn't be able to name a kid after somebody I was sleeping with other than the person that I'm sleeping with that would be having the kid. But if I was, that's the last thing I would do. So I have to say, what if it is his kid? If it is his kid, does that affect his job status at all?
I guess it depends on how messy it becomes, but no, just that act by itself. I mean, that's not the first time a player or coach has had a kid out of wedlock. That's not, if the Patriots believe that his judgment, he can't be trusted to coach the team. It'd be so different if they were 3-14, but they won the Super Bowl last season. Like, that's a big part of this. If it's a Jets coach and you're 3-14, you're probably out of there. But you're right about, they're not going to get a better coach. The players don't seem affected at all. At least publicly haven't seemed affected. He's doing his job, right? The Patriots feel like maybe he can't do his job, then maybe there's a story there. But you're right about how, if this is really true, where she named her son after Mike Vrabel, that is like a level of oh, buddy, that's bad. It's like, it's just it it makes you uncomfortable, right? You're like, oh, it just makes you uncomfortable to think that could possibly be what she did. I mean, she said it's after her brother, but it does seem like it might be after Mike Vrabel, right?
I mean, that's what it feels like. Now, somebody just texted me, and I think I know what this means, who said, does it become more understandable when it's just one of the names you're cheating on your husband with? So, again, the only person that we know that Dianna was cheating on her husband with was Mike Vrabel. There are some rumors out there that this might not be, just a one-off for Dianna. There's the whole story about what happened in Washington with Scott McCloughan when he was the general manager there, and Scott McCloughan's wife sent out a tweet, etc. I mean, if you are sleeping with multiple people and having a bunch of affairs, I mean, it would be kind of hard, like to avoid names, to sit there and veto every main name. Like, what about Scott? Nope, can't do that.
Can't do that.
What about Joe? Can't do that. What about Mike? Why can't we do any of these names?
I'm
having affairs with all of them.
I know. I mean, look, again, it's one of those things where like it should be none of our business, but now it has become our business, right? Where it's something that like I didn't want to know about, but now I feel like it's become such a story that I want to know more. I sort of hate that I'm here having to like think about how someone, who they named their son after or their daughter after. I don't love it, but you're right. It became a bigger story because these leaks just keep coming out, man. Like we get more and more stuff out all the time.
Okay, so where are you on the whether or not it's our business front? Because ESPN does not want to talk about this. I mean, they do not. Like it feels like it's very, I don't think Cowherd really wants to talk about this much. People don't want to talk about it. Stu Gatz, who's friends with her, spent like 3 weeks saying he wasn't going to talk about it. Then he finally talked about it and almost said nothing. The way I look at it is I don't think any of this stuff's our business. I don't think it's my business whether or not A.J. Brown's happy in Philadelphia. I don't think Brendan Sorsby's gambling problem is my business. I don't think CJ Stroud's contract is my business. None of this is my business. But, I mean, I do think that it's fair game. This is what comes with being $1 million reporter and a multi-million-dollar football coach. Where do you sit on it?
Well, I think generally speaking, it's none of our business till it becomes our business, right? Like it wasn't our business until we got the story out, and then it becomes part of business because it's a story about a coach who is a famous coach, right? He's won Super Bowls. He took his team to a Super Bowl, and an NFL insider who then you find you see these podcast clips of her and the way she's talking about her husband. Like it just becomes more and more of a story, right? And then of course, there's more details that keep coming out. Plus, like, I think that if they would have admitted that this happened immediately, it would be done. The story would have been over. Mm-hmm. But Dianna Russini denied it very strongly at the beginning. I get there's legal reasons why. I think she has to, it's best to deny that story if there's no evidence, right, for just, marriage and whatnot. And Vrabel very clearly, I think, admitted it in the way he handled it, but they didn't just say, yeah, it happened, sorry, and moved on. And so in the absence of information, we sort of turn to like, oh, what about her son's name? What about this? Like, it's just, there's still not closure to the story, I think. And that's why people are still talking about it. It's why it's still business. If they would have come out and just said immediately, yeah, we messed up, we had a relationship, like it happened, it's over now, I think the story's sort of done, to be honest with you. But they really haven't said that.
Well, and not only that, she made up the worst lie in maybe the history.
Correct. That she's with her girlfriends. Yeah.
The girlfriend trip, without one iota of proof, she makes up the girlfriend's trip. Then Vrabel calls it laughable. And the way so this is something that I said to a local reporter today. And I think I've been on record and I've said this. When Vrabel was the coach here, Vrabel used to get away with bullshitting the press. And it used to drive me up a wall how Vrabel would just say something, and then the people in that room and the people that covered the team would just regurgitate the excuse Vrabel gave and would never critically analyze what Vrabel was saying or dig deeper, behind certain things that Vrabel was talking about. And so I think Vrabel has just decided, well, I just bullshit everybody. I bullshit the local press writers in Nashville. I can bullshit the local guys in Boston, and I'll just bullshit the New York Post. And I'm like, dude, this is the New York Post. This is the big leagues. This is not Nashville, Tennessee, where there's the same 13 people there that go every day that you can say, no, Rand Carthon and I are good buddies. Oh, okay. I mean, I think the local Nashville press should be going, really through the records of what Vrabel said, what Vrabel did, what could have been affected. Nothing. They don't even talk about it here. You turn on the radio and it's like, let's talk about the 5th round running back the Titans took. Then it's the number one story and it involves your former coach. Nothing.
So do you think it affected his job when he was the coach of the Titans?
I think CJ Stroud is the starting quarterback of the Tennessee Titans if Vrabel's not fucking Dianna Russini.
Really?
Yes.
And this is because she put out there that they were thinking about drafting him. So then the Houston Texans traded up.
Yes. In fact, Jeff, I'm going to roll through this for you. Like, I'm going to go revisit this because I think some people keep asking, like, what is the CJ Stroud stuff? So we'll cover it here. So going into the 23 draft, there was Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, Anthony Richardson, Will Levis were kind of the 4 quarterbacks people thought were going to go in the first round. The Titans had the 11th pick. Tannehill was on the last year of his deal. Rand Carthon had been hired. The speculation was the Titans liked CJ Stroud coming out of the combine. Then that kind of died down. Then the whole S2 test thing came out with CJ Stroud. It looked like somebody was trying to tank CJ Stroud's draft stock with that S2 test thing. So the draft comes, and on the eve of the draft, Dianna Russini, who had said the week before she was going to be in Indianapolis, who was picking 4th, Dianna Russini shows up in Nashville, and she starts talking about a potential trade. This was Dianna on the Friday before the draft on Get Up, confirming she was supposed to be in Indianapolis. Here's what Dianna said.
Dianna, I believe the Colts are the team you're covering for us next week, right ahead of the draft.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yeah.
Do you have any sense
that is correct, Dan. I'll be out in Indy
next
week. Yeah.
Okay. By the way, did you hear the way she said yeah on that?
So
did you hear the way she said yeah on that?
Yes.
It's kind of odd. So then she shows up in Tennessee, and this is what she said before the 23 draft.
Field, I sat with Titans new GM Rand Carthon in his office to go over the mood of the building on draft eve, as well as try to get more information as to what they are going to do with that pick at 11. And he tells me they're really calm, they're prepared. In fact, head coach Mike Vrabel and him sat together for 2 hours and they set their draft board. They are ready to go for Thursday night. So what are they going to do with their pick at 11? Carthon tells me they're open to everything. They're willing to move out. They're willing to stay. They're also willing to move up. In fact, I spoke to some sources around the league, teams like the Arizona Cardinals, who have taken calls from the Tennessee Titans about perhaps trading up. Now, the player they're going for, Carthon wouldn't tell me what they're doing, but my sense is the Tennessee Titans have their eyes on a quarterback, and they're going to do everything they can to go get him.
Okay. So the just raging speculation leading up to the 23 draft was Tennessee was going to trade with Arizona and take Stroud. Charles Robinson, Yahoo Sports, I have the cut, but I'm not going to waste the time playing it. He said that Houston's plan was to take Will Anderson at 2. They had I believe the 2nd and the 12th picks. And their plan was to take the top player on their board, Will Anderson at 2, and then trade back with Seattle at 5 in the pick that ended up being Devin Witherspoon, in order to take CJ Stroud.
Right.
But when Houston caught wind that the Titans were planning a move to 3 to get Stroud, they said, no, we can't lose the quarterback, so let's take the quarterback. And then they traded with Arizona in order to get Anderson. Mm-hmm. I believed it that night, Jeff, and I believe it to this day. If Mike Vrabel shuts his mouth, CJ Stroud's a Tennessee Titan. And for some reason, this is a storyline I couldn't get over when it happened, because I was sitting there on the air the whole day. And I was sitting there saying, so what happened? What happened? How did it get out? How could you let it out? If you like this quarterback, how could you let it out? And I was kind of alluding to the fact that I think that Vrabel told his girlfriend the scoop, and that's what, if I own the team and we had said CJ Stroud is a franchise quarterback, we're going to go up and try to make a move for him. And our coach told his girlfriend so that she could get a scoop, so that she'd come to our town instead of Indianapolis so he could bang her, I'd fire him on the spot. Your thoughts?
Well, yeah, if you could prove all that, absolutely. But the thing is, I mean, it's obviously now it's past that, you can't fire him now. He's already fired from your team. But if that's the timeline and he was still your coach, you'd have to fire him. But he's gone. So the timeline, just it's different now. But yes, if that was the timeline, you'd absolutely have to fire him.
Okay, so if that came out now, again, the Stroud stuff, that let's say somebody went on record, Dianna went on record, Vrabel went on record, somebody goes on record and says, yeah, Mike told her about CJ Stroud, and that's how it got to the Texans, and the Texans picked him.
I don't think the Patriots would fire him.
I don't either.
No.
I don't either. And a lot of people are wondering about the Titans and what the Titans knew. I saw some people saying that, this is probably why Amy fired him. So Dianna wrote a story on Thanksgiving 2023 that Vrabel was going to keep his job. And then they ended up firing him. And what I've gathered is the reason that the Titans sat down with Dianna was because they wanted to send a message to Vrabel to not worry about the noise and to just go out there and coach.
Interesting.
But I wonder if the Titans knew when they were sitting down with Dianna. Did they know that was Diana's girlfriend? I don't think the Titans knew that. And as a Titan fan, I think that shows that the Titans had their heads so far up their asses and they need to start keeping an eye on their own employees a little bit better.
Maybe they just never thought that Vrabel would and Dianna Russini were sleeping together, though. Like, maybe just thought it was never possible.
They just weren't as intuitive as me?
Yes.
They weren't as clairvoyant as me?
They were not, because obviously you were the one who knew about this first, and not knew about it first, but you were the one who thought it was happening. But yeah, I mean, maybe they should. And also too, like, again, I often say this, I think it's true, right? Like, if your talent outweighs your problems, right, you keep your job, right? But sometimes certain problems outweigh your talent, then you lose your job. The same thing is true here, right? Like, if Vrabel was a terrible coach his time in Tennessee, which at times he wasn't great, obviously, he got fired, then he would have lost his job sooner. Just like in New England. If he was 3-14, he probably doesn't have a job, but he went to Super Bowl last year. He keeps his job. Like, that's how it works in the NFL. I mean, not saying anything anyone doesn't know, but it could be as simple as that. I mean, they might have known, but like, why mess with it? It doesn't affect us at all. He's doing his job as a coach, and and maybe they knew and just didn't care.
I do wonder what you think when it comes to Vrabel and Russini. And do you think the Daily Mail is reporting that she has talked to Good Morning America. She's talked to 60 Minutes. She says, according to the insider that talked to the Daily Mail, she wants to get her story out. She wants to try to reclaim her career path. She doesn't want to hurt her family, and she doesn't want to hurt Mike Vrabel.
Oh boy.
I don't know if there's any way that she can check all those boxes with an interview.
Well, yeah,
she
just would deny it.
Which she's already tried that and it hasn't worked.
But like, that's not where you do all four of those things. Every time you have to deny it. But the problem is, it's like, it just seems undeniable at this time, right? Like, how are you going to, again, I think for prenup and divorce stuff, like, if you admit that, you're probably not in a good place. So maybe you just can never admit that publicly, right? Like, that's part of this, I think, as well. But yeah, the only way to do all four of those things is to admit that you did it. No, not me. Basically admit that you guys are just good friends. Because then, you might save face, your family saves face, your husband's not embarrassed. I think deep down everyone knows it probably happened. It seems like unlikely that they hung out this much outside of football as friends. I mean, certainly possible. Certainly possible. Unlikely, it feels like. The photos of them finger locking in the top of the hotel are a problem. Like, that's the problem. That's the one that I think is the issue. Like, if you saw your spouse doing that, or I saw my wife doing that, or they saw us doing that, they would think we were cheating on them.
Absolutely. I mean, I here's what bothers me, though. I don't think she's going to talk. And my advice to her would be, don't talk.
No, I guess she just does the same thing. She denies all of it.
This is what I think is going to happen. And tell me if you think this is crazy. I researched how much money Monica Lewinsky made off of the Bill Clinton scandal.
Oh, okay.
So Monica Lewinsky made $2.8 million. She got $1 million to do an interview with Barbara Walters. She got, I think, $1.5 million on a book deal. And then she had $1 million endorsement with Jenny Craig, but apparently they canceled that after X amount of weeks, and so she only got $300,000.
Okay.
So she made $2.8 million. Adjust that for inflation into today's dollars, that's $5.75 million. If Dianna Russini gets offered $3 million or something for a book, or Dianna Russini gets offered $5 million for a podcast, doesn't Robert Kraft write a $6 million check and she signs an NDA?
I just also don't know, like, what is she going to say on a podcast that would be worth that much money unless she admits the whole thing. Like if she's going down the road of not admitting anything, then what's the good of, like if you had her on the podcast, you would ask her questions and she would deny everything. What if she's going to tell the story about whether it's true or not and be honest, if it is true, that's where the story is. That's where the money's at. But if she's going to go and deny everything, then there's no story to be had.
Okay. So let's say that Alex Cooper lands the interview.
Like the reason why, oh God, geez, I would.
So let's say Alex Cooper lands the interview. Dianna Russini sits down with Alex Cooper, call her daddy. We don't know what she's going to say. Just like when they pumped up that Taylor was going to go on Travis Kelce and Jason Kelce's podcast. That thing's going to get how many million views on YouTube? 20 million?
If she says anything worth it, it will get more, obviously. You know what's my wife every now and then will like see a Call Her Daddy clip on the internet and be like, hey, look at this like interview, whatever. Look at this clip or whatever. And I was like, do you know what Call Her Daddy used to be? And she's like, no idea. My buddy used to produce that show at the very beginning. Bro, it was, do you remember what it used to it was
like a show about blowjobs, wasn't it?
It was like, it was sometimes too much for even me. And I was like, oh boy, she's transformed herself into a different type of interviewer now. Yeah, we could probably get a lot of views, but if she doesn't say anything, it's not going to be a story.
By the way, did you hear that the tabloids are following her and her husband too, by the way? Apparently they're having issues.
Who?
Alex Cooper and her husband.
Don't care.
He's the CEO of the podcast company that they own together. And I swear to you, this guy, I don't know anything about him. He looks like every douchebag I've ever met.
I have to look this up.
Just Google Alex Cooper husband and see the picture. And you tell me if this doesn't look like every single guy that looks like this guy is when you see him is a total douchebag.
Yeah. Like CEO of podcast company fits his face. Yeah. The question is, did they meet before she got famous or after she got famous?
I believe after she got famous was when they met. But he was already like kind of famous in his own right.
I put on Google Alex Cooper husband, and then the 4 questions, it says, you know how it says people also ask, and it lists 4 questions typically. One of them is how did Alex Cooper get HPV? I wasn't searching that up, but thank you for telling me that, Google.
What is HPV? Is that herpes?
HPV. What's the best way to put it? It's an STD, but like most people can get it, and it's not like as damaging as other ones. Is that the best way to put it? Maybe I'm not saying that correctly.
Okay, so I want to get to some of the chat. A lot of people really like the thumbnail. Jess says, "Oh God, Jared."
Oh that thumbnail was great. You didn't make that, did you?
No. This meme has just been going. If you're looking at the YouTube, this meme has just been going across the interview or the internet with Vrabel and Dianna as what's it? Pat Patriot's the guy's name.
Yes.
Pat Patriot, and Vrabel's behind her, and she's about to hike him the football. I couldn't help myself. I can't help myself with this story, Jeff.
I also loved when Inside the NBA did the gone fishing or gone sailing, whatever they do. They put Dianna Russini and Mike Vrabel in the front of the Celtics boat. It was fantastic.
Why do you think ESPN's afraid of this story?
I think at the heart of it, a lot of it is just speculation, and that's it. And they don't want to do that. They don't want to have the discussion we had. They don't want to have hosts talking about what they think about their sexual encounters or what they think about or what they're doing. Or I just think it's not like it's a lot of conjecture. It's a lot of just putting pieces together, which I get was, look, they totally do on talking about LeBron and Jordan debates. They make shit up to talk about, but it's not like a real meaty topic to do on TV.
I think it is. I absolutely think it is.
Wow.
What would you rather? If you're just sitting in your house right now.
I think it's a great radio topic. I think it's a really tough TV topic.
Okay, so you're like me. You don't have a real job, like on the day-to-day. So if you're just sitting at home, what would you rather watch on TV? Stephen A. and Kendrick Perkins debate Game 2 of the Knicks and the 76ers, or Stephen A. and Kendrick Perkins talk about Mike Vrabel and Dianna Russini on the boat. What do you think more people care about?
I have neither for Kendrick Perkins, but probably Vrabel Russini. But maybe it's a thing where like it's like a code of people in the media industry that don't want to talk about another one of their own in this situation, right? Maybe there's it's not worth it, because what if I get in a situation? What if I get caught in a bad spot? I hope people don't talk about me. Maybe there's just like some unwritten code that these journalists feel like they shouldn't bring this up. Plus, again, I think it's a tough TV topic when you have shorter segments. It's a lot of, I'm guessing it's a lot of those type of things. A lot of the sports debates, you can be sort of making up things to talk about, but they sort of are rooted a little bit in fact and opinion about what you just watched. This, a lot of, and we talked for like 30 minutes now, is a lot of just like, I think this is what happened. I think that they hired a PI. I think this might happen. That's why I think it's a tough TV topic.
Did you see the host of First Take with Stephen A. when Vrabel decided he was going to miss day 3 of the draft? And she was like, we did not want to talk about this topic, and we did not want to. And I'm like,
Shea Cornette, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Like, at what point for ESPN? I get it. She used to work for you. I get it. She was banging Vrabel while she used to work for you. I get it. But at what point do you realize this is the story? Like, this is the topic. Mike Florio can't stop talking about this, and the reason is,
well, Florio hates the NFL, so he's trying to do everything he can to get it to cause chaos.
I think it's because Florio runs a website and sees everybody's clicking Mike Vrabel, Dianna Russini stories.
That's also true, but he also just hates the NFL, so he's just anything to knock the NFL down. He's all in on.
One person said it's a lie that she named the kid after her brother. She tweeted about her son's name and made mentions of players and coaches named Mike. She is lying.
I don't think it's after her brother, but if it was, I think we'd have more proof on that before this got out.
Ronan says, for how Vrabel talked greasy to Stillman, this is crazy karma. Have you ever heard well, me and Vrabel got into it many times over the years.
You told me this, yeah.
Probably the last time Vrabel and I got into it when he told me to think like a man.
Oh.
So this was Vrabel. Do you remember when he went to New England and he got asked those, he went to New England and he got up there and was like, he was inducted into the Patriot Hall of Fame and he was still the Titans coach, and he gave a speech and he was like, Patriot fans, respect this organization. I've been a lot of places. It's not like this everywhere. You know what you got. And so I heard that, and I was the only person in Nashville that heard this and thought, hey, you taking a shot at your current employer? And so then Vrabel got asked about it. I asked Vrabel about it. Here's what Vrabel said.
Mike, you made a comment during all that that's kind of getting parsed here, talking about...
Who's parsing it, Gentry?
I'm parsing it.
Well, then ask the question, Jared.
The question, when you said that other organizations don't do things as well as the Patriots, and that because you've been there, were you referring to this organization?
They've won 6 Super Bowls. They won 6 Super Bowls in 20 years. That's what I was alluding to. You know what I mean? I don't know what to tell you. Like, it's just extremely, a lot of success. And, and I guess just probably having talked to, Bill and, Mr. Kraft and the coaches I know they're on staff, I guess that was just my way of, bringing them good luck on Sunday. No, I mean, just the amount of success that they had there, that was the whole message was just for myself and the former players and everything, just to not take things for granted. Just the because I got traded myself and then went to a team that went 6-10, and it was like, where you're just trying to find ways to win other than knowing that you're going to win when you show up. It was my whole intent of saying that they've had it pretty good there for 20 years, 6 Super Bowls and however many else they went to. That was it, Jared. So appreciate you. You'll never think like me, Jared. We're nothing alike. So No, yeah, I'm not. I'm the dumbest person in here. I promise you. I guarantee you I'm the dumbest person in here. But we will never think alike in anything that we do. So if you ever want to think how I'm thinking, just think the opposite. think like a dude, think like an athlete, think like a grown man, and then you'll think how I'm thinking.
In fairness, I
Ooh.
never thought about going out on a boat with a married woman who was 7 months pregnant, just the two of us, ever. So he is right.
Wow.
I don't think like him.
That's wow. That's hostile for a coach.
Well, you know what's crazy is that when that happened, people, you know how it is. Like, people love the local coach, and then the local coach gets fired, and they're all like, "He sucked."
Yes.
But when that happened, I was like smiling with Vrabel or whatever. I mean, he was kind of making a crack, but I could tell how, mad he was at me, which I didn't care about. But people were like, Vrabel owned you, and you're just mad. When I would ever call out Vrabel for something, they'd be like, you're just mad because he slammed you at the press conference. I'm like, when Vrabel said that, in my head, head was thinking, that's what I was thinking. I was like, this is great for the radio. Oh my God.
Oh, it's fantastic for the radio. Absolutely. Yes.
I will say this. I was thinking about this. I was thinking about playing that in clip when he's like, Jared, you will never think like me. You will never, think like a dude, think like an athlete, and I wanted to be like, you know what? At the time in 2023, I knew it was a good idea that I didn't think like Mike Vrabel. Now I feel really good about the fact that I don't. I thought about taking that dig, and I didn't, because I didn't want people to think it was personal between me and Vrabel. But
I barely have the time in my day to do the things I have to do. I could imagine finding time to then also have another woman on the side. I don't know how people do it.
So Lindsay and I were talking about this. I mean, every now and then you hear these stories about people where it's like, yeah, he was my husband for 10 years and we had 2 kids. And then we found out that he had another family living in Virginia.
Well, I think people that travel for work might be easier. I don't know. I do travel for work during the season. I'm up in New York City 1 day a week. I guess I could have a woman up there. But that's a night. I use that night to sleep. That's my sleep night. Wednesday night, it's I have no kids. I go to bed at 9:00.
I just, somebody in the chat said, it's got to be stressful to cheat on your wife.
Yes.
I mean, I've never cheated on anybody before, so I don't know. I sometimes think it's stressful so that it doesn't look like you're cheating, much less.
Well, that's part of it though, right?
If you are cheating, it's got to be so stressful if you're cheating on your wife.
Well, the part of it, I think the stressful part is that part, is the hiding part, right?
Well, I do wonder this about Vrabel and Vrabel's wife. I mean, you played in the league. How many situations were there where maybe the wife didn't know, but the wife knew?
I mean, look, you could easily with our job tell your spouse you were going to be home at 10, but leave work at 8:00 and go to someone's house and get home at 10. That could easily be done in our profession.
Right, but I'm thinking more so along the lines of, hey, Johnny is sleeping around on his wife all the time. She knows he's doing it, but she doesn't care.
Oh, I don't know about it. Doesn't care, but I think that I would imagine that the wife would figure it. I mean, there's countless stories about guys, giving tickets to 2 different women for games and stuff. I mean, it happens way too much. I
heard a rumor that when the Titans made the Super Bowl, there was a player on the team who had 2 different girlfriends.
It wouldn't surprise me.
And were on 2 different floors of the hotel.
It wouldn't surprise me. Yeah.
And I think that they got into it with each other on one level. I just think that, so you don't know of any players that were running around on their wives that were like, oh yeah, my wife doesn't really care. She's like, hey, just keep the checks coming. Don't embarrass me.
I would imagine that that's happening, but I don't know anyone that it was specifically happening to.
I don't want to assume that was what was happening with the Vrabels, but it wouldn't surprise me if that was the case with the Vrabels.
Yeah. It seems like his whoever hired the PI knew was happening.
So Joe says, I think he resigns. More picks. Russini's husband's talking. Vrabel's wife is talking. Divorce filings, paternity results. Each represents a new headline and news cycle, and at some point it's untenable. I think that what happens with these 2 relationships, I do think that that's going to be newsworthy. So if Kevin Goldschmidt and Dianna Russini file for divorce, that's going to absolutely be newsworthy. Same with Jen Vrabel, Mike Vrabel. Yeah. I don't think there's going to be a paternity test, and if there is, I don't think that we're going to know about it.
No, I feel bad for their families, man. It's got to suck.
It does, but then at the same time, they did this.
What do you mean?
Well, Vrabel did this.
Well, no,
I
it's his
shouldn't feel
fault.
bad for talking about this because
I feel bad for talking about it. I'm saying I feel bad for like his wife and kids, especially his kids.
I feel terrible for his wife and kids. The people I really feel bad for are Diana's kids, especially the one named Michael.
Well, that's rough. Yeah. But I just, we have kids. Like, I couldn't imagine like the horror of like them being at school and everyone knows about this. Like, I don't even know if they even go to school. I mean, my kids go to school now and half their friends ask them about me and I don't even do anything. Like 10 years ago.
Derek says, what concerns me is that J-Rob received the blame for many Titans draft failures. Vrabel was sneaky and not giving his full effort to help evaluate the players.
I mean, we don't know about that.
I would just say this. I mean, I still think I've always thought Mike Vrabel was a good coach. I've always thought Mike Vrabel was a really, really hard. I don't think there's any perfect coach out there. And I think Vrabel has his flaws.
Yeah.
Just like I think every coach has a flaw. But I think Vrabel's greatest strength is I think he's one of the hardest working coaches I've ever been around. And so I would not question Vrabel's hard work. I just question Vrabel's integrity on the CJ Stroud thing. And the only reason I think this isn't a bigger story amongst Titans fans is because CJ Stroud kind of sucks.
Now he does, yeah.
But if CJ Stroud was Mahomes, I think that would be A1 of the story.
I love you, buddy, but I have got to get to my daughter's softball game.
Go get to your daughter's softball game. Geoff Schwartz, thank you for coming
buddy.
on, buddy.
Take care, buddy.
Take
Bye.
care of yourself here on the VrabelGate saga.
All right,
Very thankful to have Geoff Schwartz. I was surprised. I figured he was going to say there were more teammates of his that, running around on their wives and their wives are cool with it. And they say, hey, don't worry about the money. Don't worry, just keep it coming and don't worry. Just keep it off of Facebook. Keep it away from me. One person goes, if Vrabel blew up our spot with the trade up for CJ Stroud, that's collusion. Collusion between an NFL insider and a head coach is completely new grounds. See, to me, what I know of collusion is what Bud Selig and Jerry Reinsdorf and the American League president did back in the 80s, where it was like, hey, we're going to offer Johnson $6 million. Okay, well, we're only going to offer Johnson $5 million. So then when Johnson's agent tried to say, well, I got a team that's offering $8 million, they say, I don't think so. That's collusion. I don't think Vrabel telling Russini I don't think spilling a secret is collusion. Does that make any sense? It's like if one of Lindsey's friends is going to sign a major record deal. Or you know what? Let's use this because this is Lindsey's profession. If Lindsey had an artist that they were going to sign and they didn't want anybody to know, and Lindsey said, oh my God, this guy, he is the next Morgan Wallen and we are going to sign him. And I let the cat out of the bag. And all of a sudden, Warner Music or Big Loud or somebody else was like, BBR's going to sign him? We'll sign him. Well, Lindsey didn't break any laws or rules, but they should fire her if that happened. That is what I think Vrabel did. Again, I thought they should have launched an investigation when it happened. But I think the Titans were too afraid to admit that they actually wanted CJ Stroud. One person says, is a paternity test happening? I have to know. TMZ says no paternity test is happening for whatever that is worth. One person says, JS, I know you are not going to breach the child angle, but these images and more to come, I believe, will walk the story by itself down this angle. Michael is Vrabel's son. I'm not going to say that. I don't know that. Again, TMZ saying that Dianna Russini's son is named after her brother, not Mike Vrabel. Again, don't you sit there if you're Dianna and you're talking about what you're going to name your kid and the discussion comes up. What about Joey? What about Johnny? What about Steve? What about Paul? What about Aaron? What about Christopher? What about Cody? What about Ethan? What about Caleb? What about Michael? And if you're having sex with Michael when you're discussing Caleb and Cody and Josh and Ethan, What about Michael? Don't think so. Don't think so. I dated a guy named Mike one time. And wouldn't it make you feel icky? Like, yeah, the guy I'm cheating on you with, I'm going to name our son after. Or even if you named it after the brother, he still has the name of the guy you're sleeping with. Here's what I think that I don't think is being addressed enough. I believe Dianna Russini, and this is just my opinion, I believe Dianna Russini is a lot stupider than people thought. Is a lot dumber than people thought. I think Dianna Russini is probably a lot. What's like the nice way of saying sleazy without saying sleazy? I think Dianna Russini is probably a lot less class than people had originally been led to believe. And that's why something that is so beneath me, going on a boat while you're 7 months pregnant with another man's child, is not beneath her. That's why naming her son after the guy she's having an affair with, even if it was after her brother, but it happens to be the name of the guy that she's having an affair with, would be below me. That's not below her. And here's what I worry about with all things in life. I don't think I cheat to get to the top. I try to work smarter, not harder. If there are advantages to take, I'd like to take them. But I don't want to go to jail, and I don't want to cheat people out of money. That's just how I am. And the old saying is, nice guys finish last. And I do wonder, when it comes to status, when it comes to job opportunities, when it comes to money, when it comes to power, is there a way to get those things without cheating the system? Unless you're LeBron James and you're just naturally gifted, or you're Ed Sheeran and you're just naturally gifted. If you're not a prodigy in what you do, is there a way to get to the top without being kind of a scuzzball? You know, Gentry Estes at the Tennessean, he used to cover college football, I believe, for the same newspaper, or was in the same market as Ian Rappaport, when Ian Rappaport and Gentry Estes covered Alabama football. Ian Rappaport's on NFL Network. Gentry Estes writes for the Tennessean. Are there things Ian Rappaport does that Gentry Estes won't do? Is Gentry Estes good enough to be on NFL Network? You see what I'm saying? Like, is it about cheating the system? And I just don't know the answer. Okay. There's one last thing that I want to say on today's program. Do you guys remember Matt Bonner, the old three-point shooter, played at Florida when Billy Donovan was the coach. They went to the national championship game, and they played on the San Antonio Spurs, and he won championships. And so Matt Bonner's family and my family are very, very close. Matt's sister, Becky, who's with the Orlando Magic now, which is why I do root for the Orlando Magic, she was our director of ops at Louisville when I was a manager as a freshman. And I got to know Becky's family really well. My first job was in New Hampshire, which is where the Bonners are from. And Becky's family helped me get that job. Her dad, in particular, Dave Bonner, helped me get that job. Bustin says, the Red Rocket Matt Bonner. Yes. So their father, Dave Bonner, passed away yesterday. He had been fighting an illness for a long time. He had gone into hospice care. And I actually talked to him last week. And it was a great 5-6 minute conversation. It seemed like he was at peace with what was happening. And it sucks, but he did seem content. We told each other we loved each other. Dave Bonner is one of the greatest people I have ever met, and is one of the most influential people in a good way in my life. And I wanted to carve out just a second to talk about him if I could, because without him, I don't know if there is a Jared in the GM or if there is a Stillman and company. But we always talk about the people that do the bad things. If it bleeds, it reads. We spent all month talking about Vrabel and Russini. Dave Bonner was the opposite of that. He's the best, most loyal man I had ever met in my entire life. He gave me a chance. He called whomever. And in this case, it happened to be Chris Ryan at the old radio station WKXL in New Hampshire. That's where I got my start. And when I moved to New Hampshire and I didn't know anybody, it was Dave that was helping me get acclimated. It was Dave who was inviting me over to his house to watch the Patriots. It was Dave. He was one of the funniest guys I knew, one of the most loyal guys I knew. Had 3 great children, Matt, the Red Rocket, Becky, who's with the Orlando Magic, Luke, who played at UMass, played overseas, and has now done a bunch of stuff with NIL collectors, all kinds of stuff. It was one of those things where even when I talked to him in the end, I'm not sure there's anything I could have said to him that would have truly meant how much he meant to me and how much his family means to me and my family. And so I just wanted to say some words about Dave Bonner. He was the most loyal guy. He was a former mailman. He was so gregarious. He was the mayor of that town. There were always kids. Matt used to have a basketball camp, and I'd go work the camp during the summer. And I'd go work the camp because Dave invited me. Hey, you come up here. You stay at our house. You're going to go work the camp. And I'd work Matt's basketball camp. And, and there were always kids that would show up. And the camp would fill up, and they'd call Dave. Dave, is there anything you can do to get my... And he'd get them in every time. That's the kind of guy he was. He gave when he didn't even have to give. He was that kind of guy. And there's a certain handful of people out there who I just want to make proud. That when I think about these stories of public figures doing bad things, I'm like, one of the reasons that I don't want to do these bad things is because I don't want people that have supported me or believe in me that are the kind of character that Dave Bonner was to hear that I did something like that. And so Dave Bonner was one of the most influential people in my life. He was a mentor to me. He was a friend. He was an example of how to be a great father, how to be a great husband, how to be a great grandfather, and how to be a great guy. And so I'm thinking about his wife, Paula. They were married forever. Matt, Becky, Luke, all their grandkids, they've got 7. And the world is a much worse place today without Dave Bonner in it. That'll do it for us. Like and subscribe. Stillman & Company. We'll see you here on the 440 Sports Network.